A pleasant morning to you and welcome to the launch of the Business Productivity Measuring Tool. This is a very proud day for the NCPC. This is an activity that we've been planning for a while. COVID had stopped it, delays have stopped it, but nothing could stop the progress that we want to make. And to ensure that we are able to measure productivity in this country and measure it properly so that the information that will be had from this tool could be used to improve our lot in St. Lucia. Before we actually start off, we'd like to ask everyone to stand so that we can have a rendition of the national anthem. And I invite Mr. Glenn Henry to perform this rendition of the anthem for us. Thank you, Mr. Henry. And notice his name, Glenn. My name is Glenn as well. Great people have the same names. And we now have the blessing. We must bless this event. And we now call on Miss Yanise Edwin, who will bless this proceedings. Yanise.
Thank you. Okay, Catholics, you may sign yourselves. Otherwise, assume the usual posture. Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you very much for this brand new day. We'd like to thank you furthermore, Lord God, for allowing this team, Lord, the core team, the technocrats, the partners who came on board, all of whom made today a possibility, Lord. You gave them the grace, the strength, the divine protection, Father, amidst the tirade of storms that came left, right, and center, Lord. They have made it, and it's by your grace, and we say thank you, Lord. As we move on throughout this program, Lord, we want to ask for your blessing, Lord. We want to ask that you would bless the proceedings and furthermore that you would allow this tool to do more than it was even planned and fashioned to do, Lord. May it be such a thing that would cause this nation to continue to rise as our trajectory is only sure by your grace, Lord. We thank you for hearing us this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Yanite. Please have a seat, everyone. So you're here to witness an activity from the NCPC. Now, some of you may not know what NCPC means, the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council. And we are a small unit, but we do big things. We're connected to every single entity on island. And today, you will be getting a firm knowledge of what it is. Yanite mentioned the tool, and the tool is so important, and you'll understand as the proceedings go why it is so important. Let me acknowledge persons in the room. Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives, and Consumer Affairs. Honorable Wayne Girard, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, and Youth Economy. Ms. Esther Rigobert, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, and the immediate past PS in the Department of Finance. Ms. Sophia Henry, PS in the Ministry of Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs. Ms. Fiona Hinkson, she's now the Budget Director and the outgoing Director of the NCPC. Ms. Lisa Flora Montoute, the Director of the NCPC. Ms. Leandra Pinnell, Political Officer of the British High Commission, and she's a representative of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Ms. Francilia Solomon, Project Coordinator, Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. Mr. Howard Wells, I want to single him out, and he's the creator of the ProTool. The logo that you see behind me, he was the creator of that, and he's also the director of the National Integrated Planning and Program Unit. We also welcome all those viewing, the World Bank officials viewing. We officials from Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility, all the permanent secretaries that may be viewing and possibly coming later, and heads of departments, representatives of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Agriculture, the St. Lucia Manufacturers Association, the Bankers Association, the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association, Export St. Lucia, and other NGOs, and also the creative industry in the room with us. Other senior public officers, outgoing council members of the NCPC, specially invited guests, staff of the NCPC, the media. Ladies and gentlemen, I bid you a very warm good morning. So my name is Glenn Simon. As you heard one Glenn Henry is also here. And we're going to start our proceedings off with welcome remarks. And I invite Ms. Esther Rigobert, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, to do those remarks for us. Please welcome her.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That wasn't warm enough. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I feel better. On behalf of the Ministry of Finance and the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, and by extension, the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Development and Youth Economy, please allow me to extend a warm and gracious welcome to you here this morning to witness the launch of the productivity tool, often referred to as the ProTool. Your presence here today is indicative of the importance that you have placed on productivity and the possibilities that exist with this innovative tool. The ProTool is a labor of love which the staff of the National Competitiveness and Productivity Unit has been working on for a good while, a long time. This has been worked on. This was initially designed in-house with support from the Research and Policy Unit. The teams worked assiduously to see this initiative to completion and fruition. The government of St. Lucia remains committed to enhancing productivity, and we are very grateful to the various collaborators in the private sector that have been with us on the journey from the inception. I am pleased as well to acknowledge the support that we have received from the many businesses that participated in the pilot testing phase of the development of the ProTool. The feedback from those businesses was invaluable to the finalization of the ProTool, and that's why we are here today. The NCPC has enjoyed a long-standing relationship with the Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility, often referred to as Compete Caribbean, since 2013. Compete Caribbean is a partnership between the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, and the Government of Canada. Compete Caribbean has facilitated the establishment of the NCPC, the establishment of the Commercial Division of the High Court, the ProCom Challenge, the National Competitiveness Agenda, and many other initiatives working together with the team from the NCPC. Today, we are here to launch yet another initiative that has been supported by Compete Caribbean with the technical work being done by FASO and Moz Inc., two other important stakeholders. I am happy to announce another partnership with the World Bank as they are providing the funding assistance for the launch, the deployment of the ProTool, capacity building of the teams, and part of the Caribbean Digital Transformation Program. We can therefore agree that the ProTool initiative has been impacted by many stakeholders from the private sector, the public sector, and our donor community. And for this, we are truly grateful. During my many engagements with the private sector as a permanent secretary within the Department of Finance, the anticipation of the launch of the ProTool was an issue that came up time and time again. So today I'm very happy to be here to welcome you to this momentous event. I wish to register my sincere appreciation to all our stakeholders and our partners, and to all of you, our attendees. Thank you for your attendance here today at this important event, and permit me to once again bid you a warm welcome.
Thank you, PS. You're so correct. So many stakeholders have been involved in the development of this ProTool. And Compete Caribbean has been one of those who has stayed by our side, provided technical support, encouraged us, and saw the need for this tool to leave where it was as an Excel sheet and go online as well. And when that idea came to them, they supported it. And so we have a representative here who will be able to give some remarks on behalf of Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility, Miss Leandra Pinnell, and she is the rep from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Let's welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. My line manager actually warned me about tripping this morning, and I actually tripped. Okay. May I adopt the protocol that has already been established and say it is my pleasure to be here with you this morning to represent His Majesty's government at this launch event as one of the partners in the Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility. Before I begin, I would like to express deep gratitude for all the messages of condolence received by the British High Commission in St. Lucia since the death of Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, on the 8th of September 2022, and to share our condolences with those also mourning the passing of Her Majesty. As we are in the period of official mourning, my remarks today will be brief. At this time, I would like to pass on the apology of the resident British Commissioner to St. Lucia, Leslie Saunderson, who could not be here today due to urgent business in the UK, but has very much been involved in the preparations for this launch event. My name is Leandra Pinnell, and I am the Political Officer of the British High Commission in St. Lucia. It is an honor to be here to represent the FCDU here today. I am grateful to the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council for inviting a representative of the UK to be here with the Honourable Ministers, Permanent Secretary, and distinguished guests for the launch of the online business productivity measurement tool known as ProTool. I understand brand Compete Caribbean is known. However, I imagine some of you were not aware of the UK's involvement in Compete Caribbean and by extension in this new business tool, ProTool. The Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility, CCPF, is a multi-donor facility of around $34 million US dollars, or $34 million US dollars. The UK is proud to be its largest donor with a contribution of $12 million US dollars. Other funding partners are the Caribbean Development Bank, Canada, and the IDB. The aim of Compete Caribbean is to contribute to more dynamic, inclusive, and sustainable long-term growth in the Caribbean that is private sector-led. The program does this by building its competitiveness of the private sector, supporting ways to diversify and to attract regional and international investment in key sectors. The importance of this work has been underlined by economic impacts of COVID-19, the pandemic, and the Russian invasion and ongoing war in Ukraine. St. Lucia, like all countries, is feeling the pressures of supply chains and global prices. The Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility is focused on reigniting economic growth in the Caribbean. It is about increasing productivity, fostering innovation, and Caribbean products and services competitively in the global market. In St. Lucia, Compete Caribbean is working with the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council and Export St. Lucia, and in turn helping to deliver results through various companies and through technical assistance and tools such as ProTool. I'm not going to explain to you what ProTool is, because I very much look forward to the presentations and video this morning that will demonstrate its purpose and value. In my introduction, I mentioned that the UK is one of the funding partners of Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility. In fact, the UK's entire development support for St. Lucia is channeled through implementing partners in St. Lucia. We are proud to be the largest bilateral donor of grant funding to St. Lucia, with a current portfolio of £42 million, equivalent to approximate 130 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. That support is about climate change, infrastructure, giving young people skills to get into employment, building the youth economy, and fostering economic development. Speaking for the UK, the work of Compete Caribbean is just one factor that will also help to develop the UK's trade and investment relationship with St. Lucia. I am pleased to share with you that the UK's Department for International Trade, DIT, that leads on trade and investment, recently announced an expansion to its team in the Caribbean. We are even more pleased to tell you that the new officer who has a regional role will be based right here in the British High Commission in St. Lucia. DIT and we have also been talking with Export St. Lucia and the OECS about ways we can work together to increase awareness among young people, among companies, of the UK CARIFORM Economic Partnership Agreement that allows duty-free access for a range of goods and services. This is also about building our mutual prosperity. And in this challenging global context, working together to improve lives and livelihoods is more important than ever. So, our congratulations and thanks to our partners on what they have done and on what they're doing, what they shall continue to do, to build a private sector with the support of Compete Caribbean. I look forward to today's program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pinnell. And for sure,
I'm powerful. Okay, so we may have to lower the level a little bit.
So for sure, just touch the back a little bit. Compete Caribbean continues to remain a great friend of the NCPC, and through your funding, you've allowed us to do so much more. And the ProTool, as you said, you're waiting to hear and see what it's all about. The ProTool is all about measuring your productivity and the use of data. And who best to tell us how important data is, especially to commerce and to industry and trade, than the Honorable Minister for Commerce. So let's invite Honorable Emma Hippolyte to give us a few remarks as to why this ProTool is so much integrally linked to commerce. Let's welcome her.
Thank you. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Youth Economy, Ms. Esther Rigobert, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Mrs. Sophia Henry, my Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce, Ms. Fiona Hingson, Budget Director, Ms. Lisa Flora Montut, Director of the NCPC, Ms. Pinnell, Political Officer in the British High Commission, Ms. Solomon, Project Coordinator, Mr. Wells, the creator of the ProTool logo, World Bank officials viewing us live this morning, officials from Compete Caribbean, representatives from Chamber of Commerce, Manufacturing, in fact the business community, senior public officers, council members of the NCPC, staff of the NCPC, members of the media, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As Minister with responsibility for commerce, manufacturing, business development, cooperatives, and consumer affairs, it gives me great pleasure to be here this morning and be part of this initiative, which is the launch of the business productivity measurement tool, ProTool. On behalf of my government and the business community, and on my personal behalf, I want to thank all the funders, particularly Compete Caribbean. I want to thank as well the developers and all involved in the development of this very essential tool. Let us give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. As will be highlighted shortly, the ProTool is a data-driven platform that will provide firms with the opportunity to use their business data to measure and monitor their levels of productivity over time and take corrective action when and where necessary. As I discuss the importance of data to commerce and trade, I will expound on what I believe data and analysis mean for us locally and the benefits that can be derived from having a data-driven culture. Data, like some people just think is just a few figures, but data is critical to decision making, whether it be at the level of our government, the private sector, or at the personal level. According to the Webster Dictionary, a simple definition of data refers to facts about something that can be used in calculating, reasoning, or planning. As a provider of public services, government must utilize data in order to determine the needs of its citizens. The Ministry of Commerce has the mandate to facilitate business development and create a conducive trade environment with the objective of fostering economic development for our country. In order to adequately address the needs of our beneficiaries, reliable and timely data is paramount. For instance, data from the import licenses issued per annum provides information on major importation trends of the business sector. It also provides insights on how the list of restricted goods for imports should be amended. In its work to improve the enabling environment for business to operate, the Ministry of Commerce must depend on data coming from the private sector as well as other agencies of government. Together with the Department of Statistics, we are currently undertaking an enterprise census, and the results from this survey will inform the types of policies and programs which are required based on the composition and characteristics of our local business sector. I take this opportunity to encourage every business representative to participate in this very important enterprise census. So what is the link between data and trade? Data provides increased economic opportunities for trade globally by spurring new business models, storing research and development, facilitating international collaboration, and transforming global trade. The link between data flows and trade provides a world of possibilities for e-commerce. It is able to ensure that small businesses increase their participation in global trade. The global internet and data flows enable businesses to plug into global value chains to offer their respective services and products. The number of digital buyers worldwide has reached 1.2 billion, which means that global trade has increased considerably in recent times. We've such a huge volume of digital transactions. There is tremendous opportunity for businesses to take advantage of this market. Data analysis has a significant influence on e-commerce and trade, as it has the power to reveal essential information needed to increase business and trade. The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council views ProTool as an excellent partnership between the government and the private sector. This is the position of my ministry. This is my personal position as well. When firms utilize ProTool, it provides valuable data on the productivity levels in St. Lucia, especially at the sectoral level. As the data from ProTool is utilized, the issues that plague the private sector will be addressed in a meaningful, systematic, and timely manner. The ProTool will afford businesses the opportunity to review their productivity levels at their convenience, along with other key indicators and recommendations to address the issues being faced. Thomas Redman illustrated the powerful link between data and increased business when he states in his quotation, and I quote, "Where there is data smoke, there is business fire." End of quote. Businesses of all sizes and types and in a wide range of industries are using data to drive major changes. These changes have spurred innovation, improved efficiencies, and increased visibility in a rapidly changing environment. Let us take a look at Amazon, a well-known e-commerce platform. Most of you know that Amazon started off as a small business. It was a virtual bookstore. The owner worked out of his garage with a handful of employees. Amazon is definitely the #1 e-commerce shop and has its database to thank for that. Amazon is constantly using data to improve its customer experience. Now, the importance of data to small businesses. Owners of small and medium-sized businesses may ask themselves whether data provides similar opportunities for small businesses and independent traders, as it can for large enterprises. A data-driven culture is definitely applicable to all businesses, whether micro or small. The average small business generates less data than larger ones. However, data is still critical in decision-making and makes a difference for your bottom line. It is also important to note that small businesses with a data-minded environment are more agile and can act more quickly when confronted with new information and can adapt to changing circumstances. For the private sector, data can also be used to update business models, improve operations, reduce waste, and identify important trends. All of these advantages could be derived through the use of data analytical tools such as ProTool. You may ask yourself, why are so many business leaders looking to data analytical tools? This is because those tools help them understand their performances, identify potential risk, accurately measure returns on investments, and streamline operations. Data-driven decisions is a strategic process and approach for successful businesses. It allows business firms to identify new business opportunities, better serve customers, grow sales, improve operations, and much more. A survey conducted by the McKinsey Institute pointed out that data-driven firms are 20 times more likely to acquire new customers and 6 times more likely to keep them. In addition, a Harvard Business Review study found that companies which rely on data perform much better. Issues to be addressed in building a data-driven culture. Our call to action. We as a country need to embrace a data-driven culture. And this is especially the case for the private sector as well as our governments. Because I remember as an employee of the FAO, the Caribbean was always left out of key decisions because we had no data coming from the Caribbean. So I'm saying so because we have a lot of public officers in this room. This is critical for us. It is not just the business of the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Commerce or the Statistics Department. We must understand that it is when we have information, and information you can only present with figures. It's only when you have this that you can speak to the international world. This is how you can speak to even your supervisor to say, this is the result of my performance. It starts from you. This is the results of what is happening at the Ministry of Commerce. This is the number of persons who walked into our departments this morning. The number of persons I served this morning. Data is everything. So, basic data such as a spreadsheet to record sales and expenses should not be overlooked by small businesses. Every business should have basic accounts such as its income and expenditure and a balance sheet. To ensure that your firm systematically collects data, it is important to make this part of the day-to-day activities of your firm. And that is why this tool is important. That is why within the Ministry of Commerce, we have the Small Business Development Unit ready to provide support, especially to our small businesses. For the aforementioned reasons, I pledge my support to the rollout of this productivity tool and encourage all firms across St. Lucia to make use of it, and let us tackle the issue of productivity that we have at the firm, at the personal level, at the sectoral level, and at the national level. We must improve our productivity as a nation. I believe that through ProTool, we can help build a data-driven private sector, which is the engine for the creation of economic wealth for St. Lucia. May God guide us, and may we use this tool effectively. I thank you.
No, I want a bigger round of applause for Minister, please. A bigger round of applause. Minister, I hope you agree to be an ambassador for the ProTool. This was absolutely making a connection. And you said something. You said St. Lucia needs to have a data-driven culture. So important. And that data could be used for innovation, effective decision-making. Economic development is part of that. And research and analytics, very important. But the quote I like the most is, where there is data smoke, there is business. And that's fire. That's the equivalent. So we're going to get a little bit of fire now. And we have a performance so that we break up the remarks. And we have Mr. Glenn Henry coming back. And remember what I told you about blends. So Mr. Henry will give us a performance that, and he's a very well-renowned musician. He's also a member of the police band. He's a dedicated musician, and I hope that one day the youth economy will give him the sponsorship that he needs to take this much further. I didn't like that round of applause at all for another Glenn in the room. Thank you, Mr. Henry. So we didn't plan this song. He just chose his own song. But coming straight after the minister, what a wonderful world with data-driven solutions and data. So thanks to that, we will now have an overview of the ProTool and this project. And the ProTool was created by the NCPC, but not for the NCPC. And the use of the ProTool is what's going to be important to make this tool a viable tool that allows for the creation of this data-driven culture that the minister spoke of. And so let me invite Ms. Fiona Hinkson, the outgoing director. I'm going to call her the outgoing director of the NCPC. I'm not going to call her other title yet, because that's what she's coming to do. Fiona, I will say, has been someone who has been dedicating herself to ensure that every aspect of St. Lucia that she goes, productivity and competitiveness, becomes a household name. And Fiona, we'd love to welcome you. This is the last address she's going to give us as the NCPC official. So let's welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to adopt the protocol that has already been established, but I also want to, say welcome and hello to the Honorable Minister of Commerce, and Honorable Hippolyte, and Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Honorable William Girard, and the PSAs. So, launching the productivity tool today is one of my final acts, as Glenn has indicated, as I transition away from the NCPC. This is indeed a blessing for me because we worked so hard on this tool, and I'm very happy that as I'm leaving, I get the chance to launch it. So, and I also want to thank God especially for this, because it's, there had been a lot of ups and downs. COVID happened, and so the tool has really been a labor of love, as the PS has indicated. So when the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council was established, one of its core mandates was to monitor productivity growth at both the national and sectoral level, and to provide advice to the government on actions to be taken to promote productivity. This mandate is central to the work of the NCPC, and one of the first tasks of the Council was the commissioning of a national productivity assessment. From taking this assessment, the issues regarding availability of data at the national and sectoral levels became evident, as the unit was only able to provide a measure of labor productivity. Similarly, in 2016, the Council launched the ProCom Challenge, a small grants program which encouraged SMEs to submit proposals that would either enhance productivity or competitiveness, with the caveat that they had to provide current and future levels of productivity along with their proposals. We received several proposals, and none had productivity measurements or indicators, as we found out later that none of the firms knew how to measure the levels of productivity. In discussion with the Executive Director of the St. Lucia Manufacturing Association, it was agreed that the NCPC would provide a simple spreadsheet in Excel with formulas that firms could use to measure the productivity levels. While putting this spreadsheet together, the team got ambitious, and I mean really ambitious, and decided that it would be useful if we can assist firms and at the same time achieve the mandate of the NCPC. The tool was initially designed in-house in Excel and underwent 2 sets of pilot testing among selected firms. Based on the feedback, it was agreed to transform the tool into a web-based platform that would allow firms the comfort of assessing the performance using a secure login in a format that would minimize errors. The online version of the tool was financed by the Complete Caribbean Partnership Facility as part of the National Competitiveness Agenda project. The ProTool is based on intensive research and international best practices. The ProTool has several features. 1, it provides a quantitative measure of productivity and other key indicators based on selected sector or economic activity. 2, firms can assess operational efficiency in the area of leadership, workplace innovation, technology, human resource upgrading, standards, business processes, sales and marketing, to name a few. Third, there's a scoring system, one which assesses the operational efficiency from weak to strong, and an overall score is given at the end of the assessment. Recommendations are provided based on the area of weakness. 5, the productivity levels can be benchmarked against productivity at the sectoral level for each assessment. A worded report, which is the 6th one, a worded report is provided for each assessment undertaken by the firm with explanations on the results obtained from the tool. 7, each firm has its own secure access to ProTool, where information inputted is only available to the firm. 8, government is able to receive aggregated data only at a sectoral level. It is important to note that the design ensures government cannot access individual firms' information. The ProTool was completed in August 2022 and has been integrated into the DigiGod platform. That was very important for us, and because the intention is to charge a small administration fee, very small, that will be used to improve on the functionality of the platform as we continue to improve on the tool based on user feedback. This was one of the recommendations that came out of the pilot testing phase of the tool by the private sector. Every business that came in as part of the pilot said, you need to charge for the ProTool. I just want to say that. And so because that was how they felt about it, and you can improve as you go along. And so we want to know that we'll be able to improve on the ProTool. However, given the current economic situation due to COVID and the Ukraine war, we are offering the use of the ProTool free of charge for a year. And we will monitor the situation going forward. Okay. However, to access, you will need a coupon code to bypass the prompt on the website. So the code is available on our Facebook page and on the brochure that you have right now. Alternatively, you could contact the NCPC. As was indicated earlier, the launch and deployment of the ProTool is being funded by the Caribbean Digital Transformation Program, a World Bank funded project. After this launch, there will be a series of training and capacity building sessions that will be scheduled to benefit the private sector. In addition, the ProTool will be used to assess firms that will be participating in the Caribbean Digital Transformation Program. This is something that we work together with the World Bank, and those firms that will be assessed as part of the Caribbean Digital Program, not only in St. Lucia, but in Dominica, St. Vincent, and Grenada as well. So given the design of the ProTool, it has the capacity to be used throughout the region and beyond. So when you access in the ProTool, your country is St. Lucia. You also have the capacity to access it if your country is Dominica or any other country in the world. You'll be able to get the same results for your assessment. So I thank you very much.
I realized the clapping improved when you heard it was free for 1 year. But this is a lot of hard work. A great deal of work went into it, and as Fiona mentioned, the beta testing. It was tested, and it was in Excel, and it's got tested even more by an online version. And I said from the beginning, we're very excited about this because this means great things for St. Lucia. And with that, we have, what is the nexus? What is the nexus between measuring your business productivity and economic growth? And who better to tell us about that than the gentleman who's always taller than me, Honorable Wayne Girard. Let's invite him to the podium. I'll have to raise the mic for you.
We were doing the protocol haven't been established, but it would be unfair if I don't pay special good morning to my cabinet colleague, Honorable Emma Hippolyte, permanent secretaries, heads of departments, viewers online. Good morning. I am pleased to be here at the launch of the productivity tool, an initiative which will add value to the private sector and the government in measuring and undertaking productivity reforms that will lead to improved standard of living for our people. I would also like to join my colleague in asking all of us to pay a round of applause to the staff of the NCPC unit. My task this morning is to provide the connection between productivity and economic growth, and why we should all make the collective effort in measuring our level of productivity. When we speak of productivity, what do we actually mean? Simply put, productivity is a measure of effective and efficient use of resources by an organization, an industry, country in producing goods and services. It is usually expressed as a ratio of the volume of outputs to inputs. When we speak of inputs, we are referring to labor, capital, land, and so forth. Right now, most countries only measure labor productivity, as data is not always available for other inputs. And it is usually difficult to provide an estimate for total factor productivity. This is why I am pleased and very excited about this measuring tool. As innovation, this is why I'm excited about this measuring tool, an innovation, first of its kind for St. Lucia and the region, and it's specifically focused on addressing firm productivity. As you heard earlier, the implementation of the ProTool would allow the NCPC to achieve many of its mandates that were set out at its establishment. The NCPC would be able to identify and analyze issues and bottlenecks faced by the private sector, provide solutions to policymakers, and of course, measure and track productivity, which is the core of the Council. Why measure productivity, and why is it important? Paul J. Mayer, who is considered a pioneer of the self-improvement industry, said that productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellent, intelligent planning and focused effort. Similarly, Peter Drucker, a management consultant and educator, said, "You can't manage what you can't measure." Based on the literature, we know that productivity gains are achieved by either reducing the resources or inputs that enter the production process, or producing more with the same level of inputs or resources. Therefore, improving productivity is a key factor in determining business success, which translates to increased profits and business expansion. There is a direct correlation, a nexus, between measuring productivity and economic growth. Productivity is considered an important determinant of long-term growth and income in an economy. Productivity is also important to sustaining and maintaining strong economic growth, and therefore a higher GDP per capita. A country that has a higher productivity growth enjoys higher standards of living and has access to amenities such as better quality education, better healthcare, quality houses, improved infrastructure, and employment opportunities. This launch today is coming at a time while the world is indeed in crisis. We are still in the process of recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. The war in Ukraine has resulted in tremendous challenges, resulting in higher inflation, supply chain and logistics bottlenecks. This situation has led to pressures being placed on the businesses as they grapple with those issues in an effort to remain viable and profitable. The ProTool provides the firms, the private sector, an excellent way to measure productivity as they work towards putting solutions in place post the COVID-19 pandemic and as they sort out the supply chain challenges due to the Ukraine war. The ProTool will also assist firms to track progress as it acts as a catalyst for the implementation of efficient and effective processes with businesses. In closing, I therefore like to encourage the private sector to make this tool. I would therefore like to encourage the private sector to make use of this tool and support the work of the NCPC. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. And what you said at the end there is something that I want to for us to remember that unless you use the tool, as with every other tool, unless you use the tool, there is no productivity. So the NCPC is looking forward to engaging the private sector in the sensitization workshops, the training, so that you get accustomed to what the tool is meant to be used for, how it is meant to be used, and how effective it will be for your individual businesses. And that will translate to the national benefit as well. Now, we have a short video for you, a short video presentation that will allow for you to have a deeper understanding of the ProTool and the endorsements of some of those stakeholders that we actually spoke of. So now I'll invite you to turn to the screens for this video. A vibrant private sector is pivotal to a nation's viability. Private sector businesses are central to the national recovery process, particularly in the wake of natural disasters or global crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Enhancing business productivity through improved data collection is part of the mandate of the NCPC.
On a national level, the ProTool will provide insights into the challenges of the private sector, allowing the NCPC the opportunity to undertake actions and to engage in collaborative efforts with donor agencies and other partners in crafting remedial actions to bridge existing gaps.
The former chairman of the NCPC described the ProTool as an undiscovered gem in need of exposure to inspire and impact many.
So when I came on board, that was one of the first things that I put on the table, that this ProTool needs to be dusted off, tidied up, modernized, updated, and rolled out to the private sector, because it is something that could be very useful in driving productivity and competitiveness in the private sector.
The ProTool is an innovative productivity measuring tool developed by the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council. Harnessing the power of data for strategic decision making is at the heart of the ProTool.
The ProTool is a web-based platform. It was designed for use across all economic activity areas by private sector businesses to help them monitor their productivity levels over a period of time. It is a very easy platform to use. It is user-friendly, and it will ensure that businesses, as they get into the practice of making data-based decisions, have this instrument that will become impactful for them over time.
You need to plan for productivity, implement your productivity measures, and you need to check. And this is where the ProTool comes in. It is that tool that you can use to check your productivity level. And why is that important? Because productivity impacts your bottom line.
Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility provided the technical and financial support to convert the Excel-based version of the ProTool to the upgraded online platform.
We've been really pleased with the progress and the outcome of that initiative, and we are happy to be at this stage. It is now going to be launched out to the business environment in St. Lucia more generally, and expecting it to play a really important role in helping firms diagnose their current productivity performance and then being able to set in place really measurable and results-focused plans to improve that performance over time.
But what is so innovative about the ProTool? How does it work? And what makes it a valuable tool to any business?
The ProTool is a unique performance measurement tool, unlike any other measurement tool that we have being used by businesses, in that it is not just analytical, it is also remedial. After the ProTool has assessed the performance of the business and it gives you a ranking on the various aspects of that business, it will highlight the deficiencies, and it will also offer you ways and methods in which you can improve your processes to ensure that these deficiencies over time do not exist anymore for your business. So it allows you to improve so that your deficiencies are decreased.
Basically, with productivity in a business, you're saying, I want more output for each unit of input. And if you're not measuring that, if you're not looking at that in some way, some structured way, then you're not going to achieve it. You're not going to achieve greater productivity.
The qualitative component of the ProTool was the component which I worked on. That component involved the assessment as well as the recommendations. So part of my assignment was to review the items as well as to review the recommendations. And by the way, that's a plus to that instrument, in that you're not doing just a check, but you're also looking at the act to improve when the recommendations are being given. So for each item in the assessment, what we did was we referenced the international standard that it was aligned to.
Development of the ProTool included robust testing among members of the business community in St. Lucia, including large, small, and medium enterprises. Suggestions for improvement and modification were taken on board to produce the updated version of the productivity measuring tool, ProTool.
Now, my experience with ProTool is that it was actually quite easy to use. The data that I had to input, most of this was readily available from our internal records. And I found that the software was user-friendly. The instructions were quite clear, so completing the process was by no means difficult.
Here at Harris-Baines, we pride ourselves on the quality of our products and level of customer service. Knowing our level of productivity is very important to us. The ProTool gives us the opportunity to measure both our qualitative and quantitative output. We at Harris-Baines would certainly endorse the ProTool to any company.
Whether you are a service-oriented business or your main activity involves the production of any type of commodity, your business productivity levels should be measured and monitored to help guide sound decision-making for the growth and development of your business. The ProTool undoubtedly will be an invaluable instrument to provide assistance to all MSMEs on the journey to increase operational effectiveness and resilience.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you recognize Fiona, just when she had a different sort of look. But I hope you got the idea of how involved we were in terms of preparing the ProTool and the involvement of the private sector. This is not from the NCPC. We were just leading the process, and so the private sector hopefully will be the ultimate beneficiary of this, and as I said, the country. You saw one person there that she's not in the room. She's actually not well today, but she played an integral role. She actually was leading the process for us at the NCPC, Marina Suraj. So let's give her a round of applause. This whole activity would not be possible without the direct involvement. And so we wish her well because we know we should have wanted to be here today. And on behalf of Marina, we have Sharma. This team kicks in no matter what. And we must go on. And so Sharma Matre, the economist with the NCPC, is going to go do the vote of thanks for us. Let's welcome her, please.
Good morning, everyone. Allow me to adopt the protocol already established. In the words of British author James Allen, no duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. Approximately 4 years ago, the NCPC, in its continuous quest to provide support to our local private sector, embarked on a journey to design what we now know as the ProTool. The team at FASOV, the design consultant on the project from Trinidad and Tobago, led by Jivan Persad, your commitment and dedication to the success of this project saw no boundaries. You understood our vision and shared the excitement about the impending benefits
to our local private sector that the ProTool would potentially bring. I take this opportunity to thank you and to spotlight and applaud Christine Palmer's dedicated effort through the process. On the upgrading of the qualitative component of the ProTool, we wish to thank Mrs. Betty Comby, Managing Director of local training consulting firm Moores Inc., for her efficiency, high standards, and expert guidance. Special thank you to Dr. Sylvia Donut and the team at the Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility and the donor partners for the funding assistance. Special mention must be made of former project development consultant, Dr. Kieron Swift, for his guidance and oversight. Mr. Himat Sandhu and the World Bank team for funding assistance for the deployment phase of the ProTool project. We thank you for your support. Special mention must be made of Ms. Francilia Solomon and her team at the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project Implementation Unit. A special thank you to Mrs. Davina Mathre Andrew, Deputy Chief Economist within the Research and Policy Unit in the Department of Finance, for lending your time and expertise in fashioning the Excel version of the ProTool in a format that allowed firms to participate in the initial testing. In the very early stages of this project, when ProTool existed as a simple Excel form, we at the NCPC saw the vision, but were not quite sure of how to achieve it. And you willingly lent your assistance in charting the way forward. Your assistance in guiding this component forward was the launching pad to what exists today. Thank you for your contribution to the development of this project. In the true spirit of collaboration, various public sector agencies came to our assistance. As we move through the various stages of this project, we make special mention of the following officers who heeded our calls for the assistance and without hesitation lent their support. Mr. Desmond Astwood and your team at JITS for providing ProTool a home. Thank you for your hosting. Mr. Marlon Nassis and your team at the Department of Public Sector Modernization for your hard work in ensuring a seamless and successful integration of the payment portal. Special mention must be made to Mr. Joanna Kodra. Thank you for your hard work and commitment to the project. Mr. Howard Wells, Director of the National Integrated Planning Program, NIP, for the design of the ProTool logo. Your illustration encapsulates very appropriately what the ProTool represents. Mr. Richard Harris, Deputy Director of the Statistics Department, for resource information and guidance provided during the design phase of the ProTool. And now to our valued sector partners, our private sector partners. Throughout the design phase of this project, the NCPC wanted to ensure that this was very much an inclusive process. We recognize that in effort to present a final product that would adequately serve the needs of the private sector, it was imperative that we afforded them a seat at the table. To Mrs. Paula James, Executive Director of the St. Lucia Manufacturers Association, and your members, you have advocated for the design of this business productivity measurement tool from the onset. Your feedback and input has been instrumental in guiding the design of the ProTool to ensure that this instrument meets the needs of not only your members, but that of the wider local private sector as well. To Mr. Brian Louisi, Executive Director of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, thank you to you and the members of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce for your feedback and unwavering support. To all members of the private sector who in one way or another contributed to the development of the ProTool, we say thank you. From the inception mission in 2019, the various testing exercises, your input has undoubtedly contributed to making this instrument what it is today. For assistance in the design of promotional PSAs for the ProTool, we extend a heartfelt thank you to Mr. Milton Branford and his extremely talented team at Malfini's Film and Animation Studio. Thank you to you and your team. To the following persons who willingly and without hesitation heeded to the call and lent their voices to the various designed PSAs, to you we say thank you. Mrs. Nanette Rise of M Motors, Mr. Martin Dovell of Massey Stores, Mr. Ken Daisy and Mrs. Vera Bishop of St. Lucia Linens, Mrs. Olive St. Jude of Jano Credit Union. We must also acknowledge the input and guidance of our outgoing board members of the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council under the stewardship of Mr. Gerard Bagas. Thank you for your service, input, and guidance in developing this project. We look forward to your continued support as we move into the deployment phase of this project. To our specially invited guests and speakers, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be present and to lend your voices to today's proceedings. To all partnering vendors and agencies who assisted in the hosting of today's proceedings, we say thank you. Special mention must be made of Mr. Shermack Leon for the setup and decor of this space. Thank you to Jones Catering and for the provision of the refreshment packages. Excel Signs for assistance with branding of this event. Members of the media, and of course members of our internal IT support, and Mrs. Lana LaForce. Your contribution to the success of these proceedings does not go unrecognized. And finally, to our gracious audience, those who are listening on the virtual space, and to those of you who are physically here today, we thank you for your effort in attending this event. Your positive response to this invitation is a testament of your support. And for that, we are grateful. Thank you.
And thank you, Sharma, for the vote of thanks. I think giving recognition, as she said, is really something that we have to do because this was not a singly done project, a collaboration. And so this brings us very much to the close of this event. But let me just indicate to you that today's activity represents the ramping up of our promotion for ProTool. If you turn to your television screens, if you go online, you will see the ProTool being advertised on nearly all television stations, and we're also going to incorporate radio as well. We're going to have a longer video from what you saw, a 19-minute version explaining properly what the ProTool is and giving you some more information. So look out for the information and have a wonderful day, everyone. There's some small treats outside for you, and we also want you to take up the bags that we have here with some of our promotional paraphernalia. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful, productive day. Thank you.